You are about to witness a crime you have committed against yourself, a silent heist that occurs every single day. It is not a theft of money, for money is only the shadow. It is a theft of your own consciousness. The object of the crime, your right to occupy the territory of wealth. Close your eyes, not to sleep but to see. Picture the concept of money, what forms in your mind. A number on a screen, paper in a wallet, the digits of a salary, the sigh of a bill. These are not money. These are the echoes, the distant rumors of a power that originates within you. You have been trained to hear the echo and worship it while ignoring the source of the sound. This is the hypnosis. This is the trance of scarcity. And tonight, we break its spine. Wealth is not currency. Currency is a token, a placeholder. Wealth is a state of being. It is the psychological condition of absolute solvency. It is the unshakable knowledge that the resources of life are not only available to you, but flow from you. Money, as you perceive it in the world, is nothing more than solidified imagination. It is consciousness made liquid, given form and agreed upon value. Your bank account is not a statement from an institution. It is a landscape you own. A barren desert or a fertile, overflowing delta. This landscape is dictated not by markets, not by economies, but by the climate of your inner world. The climate you assume. What if I told you that the feeling of lack is not a reaction to your circumstances, but the very cause of them? That your financial statement is a fossil, a hardened record of past assumptions? You look at the fossil and say, "This is my reality." But the fossil was once soft clay, and the imprint was made by the persistent, relentless pressure of your dominant thoughts and feelings. The pressure of not enough. The pressure of out there. The pressure of I must earn, I must struggle, I must convince. We begin with the most violent and necessary act, the dissolution of scarcity. This is not positive thinking. This is psychological surgery. We are cutting out the identity that sees money as external, as limited, as a reward for suffering. That identity is a ghost, but it wears the clothes of your father, your teacher, the news anchor, the collective sigh of a weary world. It whispers to you in the language of arithmetic. It says you have X, you need Y, therefore you are deficient. It is a liar. It speaks the language of effects, pretending to be cause. We deal in cause. We operate in the workshop where reality is forged. Feel, for a moment, the weight of earning, the gritty, transactional friction of it. You exchange time for currency. You exchange obedience for a salary. You exchange your life's energy for digits that you then release to others. This framework is a cage. It makes money a master and you its servant. We are not servants. We are kings and queens in a psychological empire. A king does not earn his throne. He assumes it. He occupies it. The territory is his by right of consciousness. Your throne is the state of financial power. The territory is the experience of liquid wealth, of massive capital that moves at your command. The poverty you fear is not a number. It is a vibration. It is a specific, dense frequency of anxiety that hums in the background of your mind. It is the mental image of doors closing, of opportunities shrinking, of a world that is fundamentally hostile to your expansion. That hum, that image, is the only barrier between you and the wealth you desire. It is the veil, and it is woven from memory and reinforced by sensory doubt. So we dissolve it, not by fighting it, but by withdrawing the belief that gives it substance. Go within. Right now. Ask yourself, what is the texture of my belief about money? Is it hard, brittle, defensive? Does it feel like a small, guarded vault in a vast desert? That is the sensation of scarcity. It is a constriction in the chest, a slight coldness in the hands, a narrowing of the inner vision. Identify that sensation. That is the enemy. Not your debt, not your job, not the economy. That inner flinch. That is the thing we unmask and dismantle. Now construct its opposite, not in thought, but in raw, undiluted feeling. What is the sensation of having no concept of lack? What is the visceral experience of knowing, beyond all argument, that your resources are infinite, immediate, and at your fingertips? It is not giddiness. It is a profound, silent calm. It is a weightlessness in the shoulders. It is the warmth of certainty in the solar plexus. It is the expansion of the inner horizon to a vista of endless, fluid possibility. This feeling is not a reward for future action. It is the cause of future fact. It is the occupation of the throne. You are not moving toward wealth. You are letting wealth emerge from the state you occupy. When you assume the feeling of absolute solvency, the world, which is only a mirror, must rearrange the shadows to reflect your assumption. The promotion, the investment opportunity, the unexpected check, the strategic idea, these are all shadows. They are the inevitable, mathematical projections of your internal climate. They will come not as miracles, but as logical, natural consequences of the state you have entered. This is the end of begging at the universe's door. This is the beginning of commanding the universe from within. You are not asking for a better landscape. You are assuming the identity of the one for whom the landscape is already lush, already yielding, already reflecting massive capital back to you in every interaction. The dissolution of scarcity is complete when the thought of limitation becomes laughable, not frightening. When you see a price tag and it registers not as a threat, but as a meaningless datum in your kingdom of plenty. When the news of economic downturn sounds like a fairy tale about a distant land that has no jurisdiction over your inner realm. You have dissolved the old identity by ceasing to feed it with your attention and your faith. You have starved the ghost. And in the space it once haunted, you now stand solid, real, occupying the state. The territory is yours. The throne is empty only because you have forgotten it is your design. Sit down in the feeling of financial freedom. The world will adjust to accommodate the king it sees. The shadow must follow the substance. Your consciousness is the substance. Money is the shadow. Assume the substance, and the shadow has no choice but to lengthen, to deepen, to solidify into the forms of your world. The crime is over. The trial has begun, and you are both the judge and the heir. Forget the number. The number is a ghost. We are not hunting ghosts. We are building a body. The body of wealth. It has a temperature, a texture, a sound, a specific gravity in your hand. We are moving out of the abstract and into the tangible, not in the world, but in the workshop of your senses where the world is born. Before a thing is concrete, it is concrete in imagination. We are pouring the foundation. What is the first sensation of financial security? It is not a shout. It is a silence. A profound, echoing silence where the white noise of anxiety used to be. It is the sound of your own heartbeat, in a room where no creditors are knocking, where no mental calculations of survival are scrolling on the walls. It is the quiet of a mind that has stopped translating every experience into a cost. Listen for that silence. It is the bedrock. In that silence, you can hear the future forming, not as a plea, but as a plan. Now touch. Feel the physical weight of solvency. It is not a heaviness, but a grounded, steady density in your core. It is the sensation of the ground beneath you being not just stable, but sovereign, your own earth. Imagine the act of signing your name. Not on a loan document, but on a deed, on a contract of acquisition. Feel the smooth, unhesitant glide of the pen. No tremor, no second guessing. The pen is an instrument of your will, and your will is backed by the full faith and credit of your assumed reality. The paper accepts it. The world accepts it. Let's engage the most deceptive sense, sight. You are trained to look at a screen, at a bank balance. That is a reflection, and a delayed one. We look at the source. Close your eyes and see the interface of your financial command. Not the app you use now, but the one that exists in the feeling of massive capital. See its design. Is it minimalist, stark, displaying figures with a serene indifference? See the cool blue-white glow of the screen, not the frantic green or warning red. The numbers are there, but they are not the point. The point is the empty space around them. The clean, uncluttered digital field that speaks of vast reserves, of liquidity so profound, the displayed number is merely the ready fleet, not the entire navy. The coolness of that light on your face is the coolness of certainty. It does not excite you, it confirms you. Now, the sense of space. The wealthy do not live in rooms, they occupy atmospheres. Feel the atmosphere of your financial power. It is in the air around you. It is the spaciousness of a decision made without friction. It is the unhurried pace of your movement through a world you know you can afford. It is the generous distance between you and the chatter of lack. Walk through a market, a car dealership, a luxury gallery in this state. The objects are not temptations. They are curiosities, potential expressions of your joy. The space between you and them is charged with your ownership, not your desire. You are not reaching, you are selecting. Taste. The taste of wealth is not caviar or champagne, those are flavors. The taste is on the tongue of your mind. It is the clean, metallic taste of clarity, the sweet absence of bitterness from compromise. It is the flavor of the coffee you drink while reading a proposal you fund, not one you beg for. It is the nourishment that comes not from the food, but from the knowledge that the feast is eternal, and you are its host. This sensory reality is your new home. You are not visiting it, you are decorating it. You are learning its smells. The scent of aged leather in a study where world-moving ideas are conceived, not the stale smell of worry in a closed office. The scent of rain on the grounds of your estate, which is not a piece of land but the embodied feeling of dominion. What is the internal weather of massive wealth? It is a perpetual, mild, sun-drenched high pressure. Storms of doubt cannot form here. The low-pressure systems of panic are barred from entry. There is a gentle, constant breeze of ease. Financial transactions are not earthquakes. They are the turning of leaves in this wind. Natural, effortless, part of the system's respiration. Feel the weight of a debt-free life. It is not the weight of nothing. It is the weight of a specific tool, a key in your hand. A key that unlocks every cell of tension in your body. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. Your breath fills the very bottom of your lungs for the first time in years. This physiological shift is not the result of wealth. It is the embodiment of it. The body must conform to the state. This is non-negotiable. Your nervous system is the first ledger to be balanced. You are crafting a new sensory lexicon. The word expensive loses its meaning. It is replaced by a scale of value that has nothing to do with survival. A thing is aligned or not aligned. It brings joy or it does not. The flinch is gone. In its place is a calm, assessing gaze that knows all resources are available. This is market dominance at the personal level. You are not competing in a market. The market is a river flowing through your property. You direct its currents. Do not wait to see it to believe it. Believe it to see it. And believing in our work is not an intellectual agreement. It is a sensory immersion. Bathe in these sensations now in the absence of external proof. The proof is the bath itself. The warmth of the water is the reality. The world outside will steam up with condensation, blurring the old view, until it clears to reflect the temperature of your inner world. You are not dreaming of a palace. You are learning the feel of its stones under your bare feet. The cool, smooth marble of absolute solvency. The solid, rich grain of the oak table of your decisions. The silent, plush depth of the carpet that absorbs the sounds of a world that once shouted you down. Live here. Now, let your senses tell you the truth of your wealth, and your eyes will have no choice but to agree. Silence the beggar. His voice is a relic, a recording on a loop in the vault of your old mind. He speaks in questions, in hesitations, in the fragile grammar of condition. Can I? What if? I hope. I'll try. This is not speech. This is the static of a vacant throne. We are replacing the broadcast. We are installing a new transmission from a different source. The source of the king. His language is not one of petition. It is one of recognition. His inner speech is the quiet, continuous narration of a world that is already his. Listen to the dialogue of one who commands financial power. It does not debate affordability. It discusses manifestation. The internal monologue is not a calculator. It is a creator. It does not say, "Can I afford this?" It observes, "This is mine." The mechanics are trivial. The focus is never on the cost, but on the possession, on the integration of the thing into the landscape of his reality. The transaction is a footnote, a minor administrative event in the bureaucracy of his kingdom. The king's attention is on the purpose, the beauty, the utility, the joy, the reason for the thing. The funds are assumed. They are the silent, obedient servants who carry out the decree. This inner speech is composed in the present tense of fact. It is not, "I will be solvent." It is, "I am solvency itself." It is not, "I want to be debt-free." It is, "Debt is a concept that does not apply to me." The language is clean, declarative, and final. There is no room for the conditional would, could, should. These are words of a subordinate. The king uses is, am, have. His internal voice carries the tone of someone reviewing his own assets, not wishing for them. It is the tone you might use to look at your own hand. You do not hope for a hand. You acknowledge it, you use it. Let us translate the old pleas into the new proclamations. The old mind sees a business opportunity and whispers, "I hope I don't lose my investment." The new consciousness sees the same opportunity and states, "This will flourish under my vision." The capital is ready to express itself here. The vibration is not one of risk, but of directed expansion. The old mind receives a bill and groans, "Another drain." The new consciousness receives it and notes an effortless exchange of energy, settled. The emotion is not one of loss, but of fluent circulation. The old mind thinks of the future and scripts a drama of uncertainty. The new consciousness thinks of the future and knows it is simply the next room in a mansion he already owns. He is curious about its decoration, not fearful of its existence. This speech extends to the market itself. The king does not follow trends, he observes the psychological currents that create them. His inner dialogue about the market is not, "Will it go up or down?" but, "My assumption of abundance dictates the movement of capital toward my concepts. Sectors rise to meet my attention." He knows the market is a grand collective dream. He is not a dreamer within it. He is a lucid architect, adding his unwavering assumption to the mix, knowing it must tilt the dream in the direction of his own conviction. He speaks to stocks, to real estate, to currencies not as external gods, but as internal energies waiting to be commanded by his focus. "You are under my command. You reflect my growth." But beware, this is not empty affirmation. It is the natural, spontaneous speech from the state of wealth. You cannot effectively parrot the king's words from the beggar's state. The words would be hollow, a performance. You must first feel the state, and the words will emerge from that feeling, authentic and powerful. So we start with the feeling and let the words form like breath in warm air. Sit in the silence you built in section 2. From that sensory reality, let a thought form. Let it be about something you desire. Now hear the thought not as a wish, but as an internal memo. How is it phrased? The beggar's memo is a request form, stamped pending approval. The king's memo is a distribution order, stamped execute. Practice the distribution order. Transfer the feeling of that property into my experience. Liquidate the concept of struggle around this project. Issue the dividends of this idea into my reality. The language is administrative because it is. You are administering your kingdom. The most powerful phrase in this inner speech is also the simplest. Of course. A solution appears. Of course. A sum of money arrives unexpectedly. Of course. An obstacle dissolves. Of course. This phrase is the verbal signature of the state of wealth. It acknowledges the harmonious nature of reality responding to your assumption. It contains no surprise, only recognition. Surprise is a relic of doubt. Of course is the anthem of certainty. Your internal dialogue is the script the outer world actors will follow. If your script is full of questioning, of hedging, of fear, the actors, the people, the opportunities, the bank statements will perform a tragedy of limitation. If your script is the calm, assured narration of fact, they will perform an epic of seamless increase. They have no choice. They are hired by your consciousness. Begin to narrate your life from the throne. As you move through your day, translate the events into the language of the king. The traffic is not an annoyance. It is the procession clearing the way for me. The delay is not a frustration. It is the universe aligning the perfect timing. The coffee you buy is not expense. It is a minor allocation of my limitless resource for present enjoyment. This is not delusion. This is the deliberate, disciplined assumption of the cause. You are speaking the world into the shape of your wealth. The beggar's voice will return. It is an old recording. Do not fight it. Simply recognize its accent. It speaks the language of the outer world, of effects. Thank it for its opinion, and return to your native tongue, the language of inner cause, the inner speech of financial freedom. With every silent sentence you form in the king's tongue, you strengthen his rule. The territory of your mind becomes unified under one law, the law of assumption. And from this unified command-speaking realm, your outer kingdom must emerge, word for word, decree for decree, into the glorious, quiet, undeniable fact of your massive capital. The dialogue is over. The decree is in session. Speak now from the end, and watch the world rush to write down your words. You are thinking of wealth as a dam, a reservoir you must build, fortify, guard with fear. A stagnant lake of digits, hoarded behind walls of anxiety. This is the great error. This is the psychology of the miser, and it carries within it the sour, metallic smell of its own death. True financial power is not a reservoir. It is a river, a wide, deep, silent river moving with irresistible momentum. Your work is not to dam it, but to become its masterful channel, to understand its currents, its depth, its endless source. This is the architecture of circulation. We are not building vaults. We are designing aqueducts. Feel the difference. The dam is a monument to fear. It says, this is all there is. I must hold it. I must protect it from scarcity. The river is a testament to faith. It says, this flows from an infinite source. My purpose is to direct its course, to let it nourish, to trust its return. Your body right now understands this. Your blood does not pool in your heart. It circulates. The moment it stops, it clots, it dies. Wealth is the lifeblood of your external experience. Stagnation is psychological coagulation. Circulation is the proof of life. We must dismantle the dam brick by brick. Each brick has a name: security through hoarding, fear of depletion, the identity of the saver. These are not virtues in our kingdom. They are neuroses of the old state. The king does not save from a place of lack. He allocates from a place of overflow. The miser's clutch tightens the fist, ensuring nothing can enter. The monarch's open hand directs the flow, and in the openness, the universe fills the palm without ceasing. What is the inner sensation of circulation? It is a subtle, powerful release in the center of your chest. It is the opposite of the clench. It is a generosity of spirit that precedes any transaction. It is knowing with cellular certainty that for every unit of energy you release with confidence and purpose, 10 units are already inbound on an unseen current. It is the feeling of writing a check, not as a loss, but as a deliberate, powerful act of directing energy into the world. An energy that is branded with your consciousness and must return to its source, multiplied. This is not about foolish spending. That is just another face of fear, the fear of not having disguised as indulgence. True circulation is conscious, deliberate, and joyful. It is the investment in things, people, and experiences that align with your expanded state. You tip lavishly not to buy esteem, but because the gesture itself proclaims, I live in a world of plenty. You invest in a business not just for return, but because the act of investment is the statement, I command capital to grow here. You buy the finest tools not for show, but because the act says, I am worthy of the instruments of my power. Each act of circulation is a decree, spoken in the language of energy. The universe hears not the amount, but the assumption behind the amount. Let's speak of debt. In the old state, debt is a chain. In the state of the river, debt, if it exists at all, is a temporary eddy, a slight whirlpool in your overall current. Your inner speech about it changes from I owe to I am in the graceful process of harmonizing this energy. You do not pay it off from a place of desperate lack. You dissolve it from the mighty flow of your river. You write the check with the feeling of a man clearing a minor log from his watercourse, not a prisoner buying a key. The feeling is one of maintenance, not of ransom. Now, envision your network, your contacts, your clients, your colleagues. In the dam mentality, they are competitors, thieves of your limited resource. In the river consciousness, they are tributaries. They are other streams feeding the same vast watershed of opportunity. Your inner dialogue shifts from, they are taking from me, to, our confluence creates a mightier river for all. You see collaboration not as a risk, but as a geometric increase in flow. You become a hub of circulation, and the world sends its currents to you, knowing you will not hoard, but redirect with intelligence and power. The ultimate test of this architecture is in the act of giving. Not charitable giving born of guilt, but sovereign giving born of absolute knowing. It is the pinnacle of the circulatory decree. You give a significant sum, not because the cause is worthy, but because you are worthy of being a source. The feeling as the transfer completes is not, I have less, but I have activated a law. I have proven my source is infinite. This act, done in the secret silence of your assured heart, does more to shatter the scarcity illusion than 1,000 affirmations. It is a physical, undeniable assumption of abundance, and the universe must rush in to fill the space you have so confidently vacated. Your financial landscape should feel like a great city built on a river, not a fortress on a dry rock. The city thrives because the river flows. Commerce happens on its banks, ideas are transported on its waters, Life flourishes because of the movement. Your consciousness is that city. Your assumptions design the waterways. Are they narrow, silted canals of just enough? Or are they great, dredged, deep channels where the supertankers of massive capital can easily dock? Feel the river now. Its sound is not a trickle. It is a low, deep hum of perpetual motion. Its temperature is cool and constant. Its touch is strong, capable of turning the wheels of industry. It flows from behind you, from the infinite source of your I am, passes through the city of your mind, and moves out before you into the world. You stand at the central bridge, not as a toll collector, but as the chief engineer. You observe the flow. You direct it with a thought. You know its source is inexhaustible. This is the architecture that underpins market dominance. You are not competing for droplets in a desert. You are the one who provides the water. Your confidence in the flow makes others seek your banks. Your unshakable knowledge that the river cannot run dry makes you the obvious center of all financial gravity. Deals flow to you. Opportunities seek your current. Because you are not desperate for a drink, you become the wellspring for an entire economy of your own creation. The dam is an illusion. Blow it up. Feel the explosive release as the pent-up energy of your own might is set free. That roaring wall of water is not chaos, it is your power, finally in motion. Now, channel it. Design its course. Become the benevolent, unstoppable force of circulation. The river does not beg for rain. It commands the landscape by its very nature. You are that river. Assume its flow and watch every dry creek bed in your life swell and burst into fertile, financial life. You have stilled the beggar's voice. You feel the river's flow. Yet there is a final, silent barrier, a transparent wall of glass between you and the full, unadulterated occupation of your kingdom. You can see the throne, you can describe its carvings, but you have not yet shattered the pane that separates observer from occupant. This glass is the residue of a single corrosive question. Who am I to command this? Its chemical formula is a blend of history, comparison, and the faint, inherited whisper that true financial power belongs to others, to a different breed, a different species of man. Tonight, we do not polish the glass. We dissolve it with the acid of a new assumption. We move from understanding wealth to becoming the identity that cannot be separated from it. This is the embodiment of the Titan. A Titan does not have wealth. A Titan is wealth incarnate. The capital, the influence, the market movements, these are not his attributes, they are his exhalations. They are the atmospheric pressure that naturally surrounds his mass. You are not acquiring a new set of behaviors. You are undergoing a metaphysical metamorphosis. The caterpillar does not learn to fly. It becomes the thing for which flight is the only logical expression. You are becoming the psychological entity for which massive capital is as natural and unquestioned as breath. Feel the density of this being. Not the density of lead, but of a neutron star, a concentration of pure, gravitational force. In a room, this is not the loudest voice. It is the deepest silence. It is the presence that bends the social fabric, not by effort, but by sheer mass of assumption. This Titan's worth is not determined by the market. The market trembles to accurately reflect his worth. His inner speech is not about money at all. It is about vision, architecture, legacy, and the raw, joyful exercise of creative power. Money is the clay, and he is the sculptor. The question of can I afford it is as absurd to him as a sculptor wondering if he has enough clay. He knows the mine is infinite and owned by his consciousness. We must locate and wear this weight. Begin with your posture. Not a physical adjustment, but an inner alignment. Sit. Feel the chair beneath you. Now feel as if your consciousness is so substantial, so dense with unshakable value that it could not be moved by any external news, any market fluctuation, any opinion. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is a performance, a hollow imitation of weight. This is the quiet, factual gravity of a mountain. A mountain does not boast of its size. It simply is, and the weather systems break upon its slopes. Now, the gaze. The Titan's gaze is not sharp or piercing. It is absorptive. It does not look at things to evaluate their cost. It looks through them to perceive their potential energy, their place in his design. When he looks at a vacant city lot, he does not see weeds and concrete. He feels the future skyline his will can summon from that earth. When he reads a financial report, he is not reading numbers. He is reading the psychological currents of fear and desire, that created those numbers, knowing he can redirect those currents with a single, decided assumption. His eyes are the eyes of the source, not the spectator. This embodiment requires the death of a final idol, the idol of realism. Realism is the worship of the current reflection. It is the agreement that the world as it is holds more authority than your imagination. The Titan knows the opposite is true. His imagination is the factory, the world is the showroom. He is utterly unrealistic in the conventional sense. He lives from the dream, and he considers the real world to be the flimsy, lagging projection that hasn't yet caught up to his internal truth. His faith is not a spark. It is the engine room. Practice this unreality. Walk down a street in your city, but walk as the Titan. Feel your footfall not as a step on public pavement, but as the tread of ownership on your own estate. The buildings are not separate from you. They are expressions of a collective consciousness that you, in this state, are now guiding. The people are not strangers. They are potential partners, citizens of the economic realm you influence. You are not passing through, you are surveying. This is not a fantasy escape. This is the deliberate, potent assumption of the causal state. You are generating a gravitational field that will, in time, pull the circumstances of your life into alignment with this monumental sense of self. The Titan does not chase opportunities. He emits a frequency that resonates with specific outcomes, and they are drawn into his orbit. His work is internal, to maintain the purity and intensity of his own signal. His networking is not handing out business cards. It is the silent, magnetic recognition between fellow powers. When he enters a negotiation, the deal is already concluded in his consciousness. The meeting is a ritual, a formality for those who still believe the outer world decides things. He is there not to bargain, but to officiate the materialization of what he has already assumed. What is the emotional texture of this embodiment? It is a calm, exhilarating joy. Not the giddy joy of a windfall, but the deep, warm joy of a master craftsman seeing the grain of the wood finally reveal the form he knew was inside it. It is satisfaction. It is the absence of craving. The Titan's desire is not a cry of need. It is the creative impulse of the universe moving through him. He wants something not because he lacks it, but because its creation will be a beautiful expression of the power that he is. You are now in the workshop of self. You are forging this identity. With every assumption, you are adding mass. With every rejection of old, limiting realism, you are annealing your new form in the fires of imagination. You are no longer a person trying to get wealth. You are the wealth, taking human form. The bank accounts, the assets, the influence, they are not the goal. They are the shadows lengthening behind you as you stand, finally in the full sun of your own assumed greatness. Shatter the glass. Step through. The throne is not an object to be claimed. It is a dimension to be inhabited. You do not sit upon it. You arise from it. The Titan is awake, and his waking is the dawn of your financial dominion. The landscape does not just yield to him. It is born from him. There is a silence that costs more than any sound. It is not the silence of an empty room, but the silence within a storm. It is the unbroken, oceanic calm beneath the surface chaos of markets, the unwavering inner climate when external forecasts scream volatility. This silence is not an absence. It is a presence, the most valuable asset you will ever possess. It is the bedrock of all true financial power. We do not seek it, we become it. This is the currency of imperturbability. Forget the numbers on the screen. They are leaves in a hurricane. If your sense of worth, your identity as a wealthy being, is tied to their dance, you are a leaf. You have externalized your source. The Titan's worth is intrinsic, atomic. A hurricane does not alter the depth of the ocean floor. A market crash does not diminish the gold reserves in a sovereign vault. They are events on the surface. Your consciousness must become that ocean floor, that sovereign vault. Imperturbability is not stoicism. It is not the gritting of teeth against fear. It is the profound, amused detachment that comes from knowing you are the source of the game, not a player in it. Feel the texture of financial anxiety. It is a brittle, skittering, electrical thing. It jumps from headline to headline, from brokerage account to retirement statement. It lives in the future, in the terrifying what if. It is the vibration of the beggar, the dam keeper, the one who believes his sustenance comes from the outer world. Now, feel its opposite. The currency of imperturbability is heavy, liquid, and still. It is the feeling of having already won the only game that matters, the game of defining your own reality. It is the knowledge that any market correction is merely a rearrangement of shadows, and you are the substance casting them. We cultivate this not by ignoring the world, but by radically changing our relationship to its reports. See the red numbers, the panic headlines, the chorus of experts predicting doom. Hear them. Then, from your depth, recognize them for what they are, the collective outpicturing of other people's states of fear and lack. They are not facts about reality. They are confessions of inner worlds. You are not obliged to accept their confession as your truth. Your inner speech in this moment is not, "Oh God, I'm losing," but a calm, observational note. Interesting. The dream of lack is strong today. You are the lucid dreamer, watching the nightmares of others swirl around you, knowing they cannot touch you unless you consent to fall asleep and join them. This imperturbability is the ultimate display of market dominance. It is not dominating through frantic buying and selling. It is dominating through immovable assumption. When you do not flinch, when you do not panic sell your assets or your vision, you are performing a supreme act of power. You are stating, through your unshaken being, that your reality is set by a law higher than the ticker tape. And a curious alchemy occurs. The market, which is simply a graph of collective human emotion, begins to respond to your emotional signature. Your calm becomes a gravitational anomaly that stabilizes the chaos around you. Opportunities for massive capital are born in these moments of collective fear, but only those whose inner world is not for sale can see them, much less command them. Practice this now. Imagine the worst financial news you can conceive: a total loss, a bankruptcy, the evaporation of a key asset. Feel the old ghost of anxiety try to rise. Now, from your embodied Titan state, greet it. And then from that deep, vault-like silence within, ask the only question that matters. Who would I be if this were true? And answer not as a victim, but as the source. I would be the unbroken consciousness from which new forms of wealth effortlessly emerge. I would be the quiet architect of a recovery so swift and elegant it would seem miraculous. I would be the calm in the center, knowing this is but a scene in a story whose ending I have already written, my absolute prosperity. You are not denying the event. You are claiming a state so powerful that no event can define it. This currency is spent in every decision. The imperturbable mind does not make decisions from a place of survival. It allocates from a place of sovereignty. It feels no urgency, only rhythm. It is not pressured by limited time offers because it knows time is a servant to its assumption. A deal missed is not a loss. It is a sign that a greater alignment is coming. This patience is not passive. It is the active, relentless maintenance of an inner frequency. It is the most aggressive financial strategy in existence, for it attacks the root of all loss: inner panic. Your body must learn this currency. The clench in the stomach when a stock dips, dissolve it with the breath of the deep sea. The tightness in the shoulders when a large bill arrives, melt it with the warmth of knowing your resources are infinite. The body's anxiety is a memory, a conditioned response. You are deconditioning it by flooding those neural pathways with the new feeling. The feeling of being the bank, not the borrower. The feeling of being the house in the casino, where the statistical tide flows inevitably toward you. In this state, you become a haven. People, capital, and ideas are magnetized to stability. In a world of emotional volatility, your imperturbability is a rare and priceless commodity. People will pay for your calm, your counsel, your partnership. Your very presence becomes an asset that multiplies the value of everything it touches. You are not seeking liquidity. You are liquidity. You are the human equivalent of a risk-free asset, and the world's capital will flow to find its rest in you. This is the final dismantling of the slave mentality. The slave jumps at every crack of the master's whip. The master knows the whip is an illusion. The market's whip cannot touch you unless you have given it your back and your belief. Stand upright. Turn around. See the whip for the piece of air it is. Your imperturbability is the act of turning around. The storm will pass, it always does. But you are no longer waiting for the storm to pass. You have discovered the dimension in which the storm does not exist. You are the I, eternal, quiet, and in command of all that revolves around you. This is the currency that buys everything, because it needs nothing. It is the wealth before wealth. Occupy this and watch as the world's gold rushes in, desperate to trade its temporary symbols for your permanent state. The Titan is imperturbable. The river flows, yet without a channel, even the mightiest current loses its force, diffusing into a broad, impotent delta. Your assumption of wealth is not a vague, benevolent cloud of more. It is a scalpel. It is a laser. It is the architectural blueprint from which the universe will fabricate your reality. Vague desire begets vague results. A whispered wish for financial freedom will return to you as pennies found in couch cushions. The kingdom does not respond to murmurs. It obeys precise, vivid, and emotionally charged commands. This is the specificity of the target. We are moving beyond the state of being wealthy to the potent act of calling forth specific forms. Wealth is infinite, but it manifests in finite expressions. Your work is to define those expressions with such crystalline clarity that they cease to be possibilities and become, in your inner world, inevitabilities. You are not hoping for a better life. You are issuing the production order for a specific life, down to the model number, the finish, and the delivery date. The beggar dreams in abstract nouns: security, comfort, freedom. The king dreams in concrete, sensory verbs. Do not say, "I want abundance." Describe what abundance does in your daily life. I sign contracts worth 7 figures before noon. I receive dividend notifications as a pleasant, weekly rhythm, like a heartbeat of my empire. I transfer 6-figure allocations to my investment portfolio with the casual ease of ordering lunch. The feeling is not in the noun. It is in the action, the transaction, the tangible moment of exchange and ownership. We must become master cartographers of our desire. Take a single financial target, not more money, but a precise sum. Now, close your eyes and construct the moment of its arrival. Is it a cleared balance on a student loan showing a stark, beautiful zero? Is it the notification of a wire transfer hitting your account with a specific memo line naming the project that generated it? Is it the quiet click of a portfolio tracker crossing a numerical threshold you have set? Locate that moment. Freeze the frame. Now, step into it. This is not visualization. This is sensory appropriation. Feel the temperature in the room at that precise second. The quality of the light. Is it the cool blue glow of a screen at dusk, or the warm morning sun across a paper statement? Hear the silence, or the faint, distant sound of city traffic that forms the backdrop to your triumph. Feel the texture of the mouse under your finger, or the smooth paper between your thumb and forefinger. Smell the air. Taste the particular flavor of that achievement in your mouth. Clean, metallic, sweet. This moment is a rune. Decorate it with unbearable specificity. Then, live in it. The outer world is a factory that manufactures runes. You have just provided the completed design. Your inner speech must shift from the hopeful future tense to the detailed present tense of narration. Not, "I will have $1 million, but it is fascinating to observe how my $1 million liquidity reshapes my decisions. It allows me to consider the boutique hotel acquisition in Lisbon as a matter of aesthetic fit, not financial strain." You are not describing a goal. You are narrating the life of the person for whom this is already a fact. The dialogue is key. What do you say to your advisor in this state? Let's structure the foundation's annual endowment from the proceeds of the Singapore Fund. The content is specific, but the power is in the casual, assumptive tone. The conversation is not about if, but about how. This specificity applies to the nature of the wealth itself. Is it passive, flowing in from intellectual property? Is it active, the roaring profit from a flagship enterprise? Is it liquid, sitting in instruments ready to be deployed? Is it solid, embodied in land and art? Define the currency of your kingdom. Do not just want money. Want the specific power and freedom that a specific form of money represents. The feeling of acquiring a rival company is not the same as the feeling of receiving a royalty check. Target the feeling and clothe it in the most precise financial garment you can conceive. Beware the target of reaction. "I want enough to pay off my debt" is a target born of the old state of lack. It is a target that centers the problem, not the power. Reframe it from the throne. "I want the specific experience of my financial landscape being so clear of any historical encumbrances that my credit report is a single flawless page." The target is not the absence of debt, but the presence of a pristine financial identity. The feeling is different. One is relief from a burden. The other is the assumption of a natural, unobstructed state. Now, release the how. This is the crucial discipline. Your specificity is about the end, the feeling, the sensory reality, the numerical result. The means are none of your business. The universe, your own consciousness objectified, has infinite ways to engineer the bridge between your assumption and its manifestation. Your job is to hold the end with fidelity. To obsess over the method is to lapse into the small mind of the manager, not the broad mind of the owner. You have placed the order with the factory. You do not haunt the factory floor, instructing the machines. You prepare the showroom for the delivery. Practice this nightly. Do not wander through a generic dream of luxury. Design one specific financial event for the following day. An unexpected check of a specific amount. A phone call with a precise offer. The discovery of a perfectly priced asset you've been seeking. Script it. Sense it. Feel the reality of it now. Then in the morning, release the target like an arrow from a bow. Go about your day from the state of the one for whom such things are ordinary. Your inner calm, your imperturbability, is now the atmosphere in which this specific seed must grow. The universe is a perfect mirror. It can only reflect what is placed before it. A blurred, trembling image yields a blurred, trembling reality. A specific, vivid, and emotionally solid assumption yields a specific, vivid, and solid fact. You are the artist. Do not splash paint and hope for a masterpiece. Draw the line, choose the color, know the composition down to the last detail. Then, assume the feeling of the work being complete, and watch as the world rushes to fill in the canvas, perfectly matching the design that already exists in full color in the gallery of your mind. Your target is not a wish. It is a preview. You have drawn the target with exquisite specificity. You feel the Titan's weight. Yet between the blueprint and the skyline, between the decree and the kingdom, there lies a desert. It is a critical, fertile void where the outer senses scream of absence. This is the proving ground of your assumption. This is where the beggar's ghost returns, pointing at the empty space, laughing. You see, nothing has changed. To walk this desert without drinking the mirage of doubt is the discipline of the unseen foundation. What you are building is not built with brick and steel, visible to every passerby. It is built with the intangible, unstoppable material of persistent assumption. Its construction site is your inner world. The noise, the dust, the chaos of creation, all of it is internal. The outer world remains for a time silent. It is gathering itself. It is reconfiguring its molecules to match the new vibrational template you have imposed. This period of silence is not failure. It is the most potent phase of all. It is the phase where your faith is forged into fact. You must learn to see the foundation before a single stone is laid in the visible world. This foundation is composed of three elements: your unwavering inner speech, your calibrated emotional atmosphere, and your actions inspired by the new state, not dictated by the old. To lay a brick in the outer world while doubting the inner blueprint is to build a prison. To sit in outer stillness while fiercely maintaining the inner reality is to build a palace. The discipline is to value the unseen more than the seen. To trust the feeling in your chest more than the number on a screen. Feel this discipline. It is the quiet, daily refusal to let the evidence of the senses be your master. It is the inner smile you wear when the bank statement still shows the old figures and you think a fascinating lag in the reporting. It is the gentle correction you make in your own mind when you hear yourself say, "If it happens," and you consciously, firmly restate, "as it is." This is not self-deception. It is selective attention on the causal layer of reality. You are choosing to dwell in the workshop, not the showroom, knowing the product is already finished where it matters most. The world will test your foundation. It will send people speaking the language of the old reality. It will present circumstances that seem to contradict your assumption. These are not attacks. They are invitations. Invitations to reaffirm your state. Your response is not to argue with the outer world. Your response is to retreat, instantly, to the inner feeling of the fulfilled target. To touch the sensory reality of it like a talisman. The man who knows he has ordered a feast does not panic when the waiter brings him a menu. He waits with calm anticipation for the dishes he has already chosen to arrive. This discipline requires a recalibration of time. The human mind, conditioned by processes, expects linear progression, effort, then result. The kingdom operates on the principle of assumption, then manifestation. There is an irreducible lag, a synaptic gap between the command of consciousness and the movement of matter. This lag is your arena. This is where you practice the royal art of living from the end. You are not waiting for wealth to feel wealthy. You are feeling wealthy to become it. Every moment you sustain that feeling against the tide of not yet, you are compounding interest in the bank of the unseen. Your actions now become rituals of confirmation, not attempts at manipulation. You do not network desperately. You converse from the platform of your established power, and your calm attracts alliances. You do not research investments from anxiety. You survey opportunities with the detached curiosity of a gardener choosing where to plant a seed he knows will flourish. The action is the same, but the inner orientation is everything. One comes from lack, the other from abundance. The universe responds to the orientation, not the motion. The unseen foundation is felt as a gathering pressure, a saturation point in your consciousness. It is the feeling that the target is no longer a wish, but a memory of something that has already occurred. It is so real to you that its appearance out there becomes a minor formality, almost an afterthought. You begin to feel a slight impatience, not born of doubt, but of amusement, like waiting for a slow computer to catch up with your keystrokes. This is a prime indicator. You are no longer looking for the manifestation. You are looking at the world from the vantage point of the manifestation. Do not seek signs. This is a beggar's game. The beggar looks for a crumb to validate his hope. The king knows the banquet is prepared. Seeking signs admits the possibility of its absence. Your discipline is to live as if the sign has already been given, the proof already established in a court that does not need physical evidence. The only sign you need is the unshakable certainty within. When that certainty is absolute, the outer world must capitulate. It has no other choice. This is the silent, solo work. No one can see you do it. No one can applaud your consistency in the dark. This is where you separate yourself from the dabblers in the law. They assume when it is easy and relinquish when the desert appears. You are the one who walks, your mouth parched but your spirit quenched by the water of the promised land you carry within you. You are building the foundation in the dark, and when the dawn comes, your palace will already be standing, complete, as if it had been there for 1,000 years. The world will blink and say it was always so. And you, knowing the truth of the unseen work, will simply smile and occupy your creation. The discipline is the price. The kingdom is the reward. Pay it gladly in the quiet currency of persistent assumption. You have built the unseen foundation. You walk in the discipline. Now we turn our gaze outward, not with the need of a petitioner, but with the perceptive eye of a sovereign recognizing his own domain. The world of finance, the chattering tickers, the flowing capital, the rise and fall of empires built on belief. This is not a separate entity. It is an extension of you. It is a vast, collective dream, and you are now a conscious dreamer within it. Your relationship to it shifts from one of observation or extraction to one of profound, energetic reciprocity. A market is not a machine. It is a psyche. It is the aggregated emotional and assumptive state of every participant, made visible in numbers and charts. The Dow Jones, the S&P, the crypto volatility, these are EKGs of the global heart, tracking its fear and its greed. You have been taught to read these lines as gospel, to let them dictate your inner climate. We reverse this. You are to recognize that your inner climate is a contributing force to these very lines. Your assumption of wealth is not a private affair. It is a drop of dye released into the ocean of collective consciousness, destined to color the whole. Understand this. When you move into the state of absolute solvency, you are not withdrawing from the economic system. You are upgrading your role within it. You cease to be a consumer of its trends and become a creator of its currents. Your imperturbable calm in the face of a correction is not just personal protection. It is a stabilizing frequency broadcast into the psychic field. Your assumption of a specific, massive financial target is not a secret wish. It is a magnetic pole around which unseen currents of capital must begin to reorganize. You are engaging in reciprocity. You emit a signal, and the market mind, in time, must send back its mirroring echo in the form of aligned opportunities, favorable movements, and synergistic alliances. Feel this new relationship. It is not predatory. The old model is one of extraction. How can I take value from this system? The new model is one of emission and attraction. I am a source of value, and the system organizes itself around sources. You look at a stock not as a ticket to be bought low and sold high, but as a symbolic representation of a collective idea. Your assumption of its growth, held in your unshakable foundation, is a subtle but real form of energetic investment. You are not betting on the horse. You are, through the focused power of your assumption, whispering to the horse that it is already a champion. This is the true meaning of market dominance. It is not about controlling every fluctuation. It is about your internal state being so dominant, so coherent, so powerful that it becomes a gravitational center. Smaller economic bodies, ideas, people, capital, begin to orbit you. A deal does not happen because you forced it. It happens because the participants, on a level they may not comprehend, are pulled into the relational orbit of your certainty. Your inner speech, "This merger is inevitable," creates a psychological reality so potent that the lawyers and bankers become mere functionaries acting out the script you have already written in the unseen. Practice this reciprocity daily. Scan the financial news, but do not read it as news. Read it as a living script of human consciousness. See the fear in a sell-off article. Recognize the greed in a hype piece. And then, from your sovereign center, feel your own contrary assumption. Your calm, your certainty, your knowing of abundance. You are not fighting the fear. You are providing the antidote to it, first within yourself, and by extension within the field. You are doing the silent, psychic work of balancing the collective dream. This is the highest form of financial service. You become a steward of the market's sanity, and the market rewards its stewards with trust, which is the true substance of all capital. Your transactions now become sacred acts of this reciprocity. When you spend, you do not lose. You direct energy with intention, blessing the recipient and affirming the endless flow. When you invest, you are not gambling. You are placing a deliberate seed of confidence into a sector, a company, an idea, and your assumption waters that seed in the collective mind. When you profit, you do not take from others. You harvest the natural yield from the field of consciousness you have been tending with your assumptions. The entire process is lifted from a gritty, zero-sum competition to an elegant, generative dance. This reframes every financial interaction. A negotiation is not a battle of wills. It is a harmonization of frequencies to discover the arrangement that best reflects the abundance already present in your shared field. Your calm dominance invites the other party to rise to a more expansive, less fearful state, often creating outcomes that seem miraculously beneficial for all. You are not a conqueror. You are a tuning fork, and the world tunes itself to your pitch. The reciprocity of markets is the understanding that you are in the market, but not of its lower, fear-based vibrations. You are a hidden pillar within it. Your wealth, when it manifests, is not an anomaly. It is the market's perfectly logical, mathematical, and psychological response to the pillar of assumption you have become. You issued the command in private. The public world is simply the echo chamber, returning your command to you as fact, amplified and clothed in the material of money, assets, and influence. You are no longer playing the market. You are conversing with it. You speak in the language of assumption. It replies in the language of events. Listen for its replies not with anxiety, but with the attentive ear of a composer hearing his symphony played back by a grand orchestra. You wrote the music in the silence. Now, enjoy the sound. This is reciprocity. This is the royal exchange. We have spoken of states, of foundations, of reciprocal fields. But states are not static. You have dwelled in the mansion of your assumption. Now a breeze touches your neck. A faint, cool draft from a door left ajar in a forgotten corridor. It is the whisper of a new possibility, one that your old self would have dismissed as fantasy, but your tightened self recognizes as the next logical expression. This is the call to the physics of the pivot. Not a change of heart, but a change of scale. The conscious, deliberate leap from one plateau of wealth to a higher, steeper one. The art of outgrowing your own success. Comfort is the silent saboteur of kingdoms. You achieve a specific target, The sum, the property, the liquidity, and a deep, seductive sigh of completion can settle in. I have arrived. This sigh is the beginning of stagnation. It is the dam being rebuilt in the river of your expansion. The Titan knows that arrival is an illusion. There is only the journey of an ever-expanding consciousness. Your current manifestation of wealth is not a destination, it is a proof of concept. It is the universe demonstrating its obedience to a previous command. To stop commanding is to invite decay. The pivot is not dissatisfaction. It is divine discontent. It is the creative impulse, now amplified by proven power, itching to sculpt a larger masterpiece. The feeling is not, "This is not enough, but I am capable of more." It is the sculptor looking at the finished marble statue and feeling in his hands the memory of the mountain from which it was cut. The mountain calls. The pivot is the decision to acquire the mountain. This requires a ruthless intimacy with your own desire. You must listen past the achievement, past the congratulatory noise of the world, to the new, even more specific target humming beneath. It feels like a slight magnetic pull from a future you have not yet fully articulated. It is the next specific sum that makes your current one seem like pocket change. It is the next tier of influence that recontextualizes your current dealings as practice rounds. This new target will scare the man you were yesterday. It should. It is not for him. It is for the man you become the moment you dare to assume it. The physics are precise. A pivot is not abandonment. It is an expansion that includes and transcends the previous state. You do not relinquish the feeling of your current wealth. You use it as the launch pad. You recall the certainty you cultivated to reach this plateau. That same certainty, now more muscular from exercise, is the fuel for the leap to the next. You are not starting over. You are compounding your assumptive velocity. Feel the mechanics. First, the acknowledgement. This current reality is a shadow I have cast. I am the source that cast it. Then, the question, posed from the depth of your power. What shadow would I cast if I were 10 times more luminous? 100 times? Do not answer in terms of things. Answer in terms of consciousness. What would your inner speech sound like? How would the silence of your imperturbability feel if it were deepened by an order of magnitude? What specific, formidable financial problem of the world would your wealth now be tasked to solve? The pivot is always towards a greater version of yourself, and the wealth is merely the tracking shot following your movement. This is where you must sever the anchor of realism once and for all. Your previous target seemed unrealistic once. Now it is your reality. The new target will seem equally unrealistic from this lower plateau. Good, that is your compass. Your realism is a phantom limb, aching for the familiar ground. You must ignore it. You walk on air now. The law is your ground. The pivot often feels like a controlled demolition. Old alliances, old investment theses, old ways of thinking may crumble not from failure, but from irrelevance. They were structures built for a smaller consciousness. They cannot house the new one. Let them fall without drama. Your focus is on the new blueprint, felt in your marrow. You may liquidate assets, not out of fear, but to free energy for a grander design. You may exit partnerships not from conflict, but because your trajectory has arced beyond their orbit. This is not betrayal, it is physics. A rocket sheds stages to reach escape velocity. Your inner work intensifies. You must now live in the sensory reality of the new target, while the outer world still reflects the old. This is the ultimate test of your discipline. You are the CEO of a conglomerate that has already approved the merger with a giant, but the paperwork is still in transit. You act now from the authority of the merged entity. You make decisions the smaller company could not fathom. You risk what it would call its entire net worth on what you know is a minor allocation. This is the pivot in motion. The world will call it madness, arrogance, a midlife crisis. They are speaking from the plateau you have left. Do not explain. You are under no obligation to make the smaller mind understand the larger one. Your only obligation is to your assumption. Move in silence. Move with the absolute certainty of a planet altering its course around a new, self-created sun. The pivot is the heartbeat of royal prosperity. It is the perpetual motion of consciousness. Stagnation is death disguised as success. You are not here to build a monument and lie beneath it. You are here to outgrow palace after palace. knowing each one was merely a temporary shell for the infinite power you are learning to wield. The throne you sit upon today is a chair. The throne you assume tomorrow is a continent. The physics are simple. Assume the greater and let the lesser rearrange itself accordingly. The pivot is not a turn, it is a transcendence. Now leap. A shift occurs, a subtle, critical realignment in the seat of consciousness itself. You have assumed the throne. You have felt the pivot. But a question now rises, not from doubt, but from a deepening of command. What is this wealth for? Not in the pedestrian sense of purchases, but in the sovereign sense of purpose. The Titan does not accumulate mass for its own sake. Mass exerts gravity. Gravity orders systems. You are no longer merely wealthy. You are becoming a gravitational force. This demands the clarification of the instrument. Your wealth, your financial power, is not an end. It is an instrument, a specific, precision tool forged in the fires of your assumption. To wield it without clarity is to swing a sculptor's chisel like a bludgeon. You make marks, but you do not create form. You generate noise, not a signal. The beggar wants money to stop the pain. The king has no pain. The king has a vision, and money is the frequency upon which that vision is broadcast into the world of form. We must now define the broadcast. This moves beyond the specificity of a target. That was about acquiring the instrument. This is about its timbre, its tone, its unique resonance in the world. Are you a scalpel or a trebuchet? A quiet endowment or a disruptive tide? The instrument is an extension of your deepest, most unspoken sense of self. It is the answer to the silent question. What particular flavor of order does my consciousness wish to impose upon the economic field? Feel this. Close your eyes and feel the weight of massive capital in your hands. Not as numbers, but as pure, potent potential energy. Now ask it, what do you want to become? Do not answer with a charity or a business. Answer with a feeling you wish to externalize. Is it the feeling of elegant efficiency? Then your wealth becomes the instrument that streamlines industries, that removes friction from systems. Is it the feeling of nurtured potential? Then your wealth becomes the instrument of patronage, of funding genius in its raw, unproven state. Is it the feeling of formidable, unassailable beauty? Then your wealth becomes the instrument that acquires and preserves art, that builds architecture, that silences crowds. The instrument is defined by the quality of consciousness it carries. Your inner speech now evolves from I have to I express through. The monologue is no longer about your solvency, but about its application. Through my liquidity, I express a relentless focus on materializing the improbable. Through my capital, I express a bias for solutions that redefine the landscape. The wealth becomes transparent. You are not looking at it, you are looking through it at the effect you intend to create. It is the lens, not the picture. This clarification protects you. When wealth is an instrument with a defined purpose, it cannot corrupt, because it is not about aggrandizement, it is about expression. You are immune to the petty dramas of display, because you are too focused on the calibration of the tool. A master violinist does not obsess over the gloss of the wood, he obsesses over the truth of the note it can produce. Your financial decisions become clean, swift, and obvious. Does this opportunity allow my instrument to play its true note? If yes, the deployment is effortless. If no, it is irrelevant, no matter the potential profit. Profit is a byproduct of correct expression, not its goal. This is how you command, without grasping. You are not holding wealth, you are directing a current. The clarification of the instrument tells you where to point it. You see a market inefficiency not as a chance for arbitrage, but as a discordant note your instrument can correct. You see a struggling but brilliant enterprise, not as a risky bet, but as a raw piece of material perfectly suited to your tool's function. Your investments stop being bets and become affirmations of your own defined purpose. Now feel the instrument in relation to the reciprocity of markets. You are not just adding to the noise of the market psyche. You are broadcasting a specific signal on a specific frequency. You become knowable in a deep, non-personal way. The right people, the perfect synergies, are not attracted to you. They are resonant with the frequency of your instrument. They are drawn to the note you are playing. This creates alliances of profound power and simplicity, unburdened by need or manipulation. The discipline becomes one of purity. You must continually refine the connection between your core feeling and the financial expression of it. Any action taken from fear, from social obligation, or from vague generosity muddies the instrument. It introduces static into the signal. Your no becomes as powerful as your yes, because a no preserves the clarity of the note. You become a financial minimalist, not in amount, but in intention. Every outflow is a deliberate stroke of the brush. Your wealth is the violin. Your consciousness is the musician. The music is the effect on the world. You have practiced the scales of assumption. You have achieved the posture of the Titan. Now, what music will you play? The clarification is not a mission statement written in an office. It is a hum in the center of your being, a silent knowing of the particular kind of power you are here to wield. Find that hum. Amplify it. Let it guide the deployment of every dollar, every deal, every dynasty you choose to found. The instrument is tuned. The concert hall of the world is waiting. Play from your core, and watch as capital itself becomes your symphony. A new quality of time emerges. It is not the slow, grinding time of waiting, nor the frantic time of chasing. It is a rich, pregnant, elastic time, a time charged with the quiet electricity of a sure thing. This is the time signature of the master. This is the anticipation without anxiety. It is the psychological space between the immutable command given in your assumption and its inevitable appearance in your world. It is the art of living in the gap, as if the gap does not exist. Anxiety is the interest paid on a debt to doubt. It is the body's tribute to a future it fears. The beggar, the striver, the one who believes wealth is external, lives in this usurious state. His anticipation is a tightening in the gut, a scanning of the horizon for a sign that may never come. His inner world is a loan shark's office. Your inner world must become the vault. The vault does not anticipate the deposit. It is the condition that makes the deposit logical, necessary, and trivial. The vault's anticipation is a silent, spacious knowing. It is the quality of a stage after the sets are built, the lights are focused, and the curtain is still. The air hums not with question, but with imminence. You must learn to distinguish between the feeling of desire, which is a creative force, and the feeling of anxious longing, which is a confession of lack. Desire from the throne is a cool, directional beam. It is the architect's pleased contemplation of his finished blueprint. Longing is a hot, wandering ache. It is the homeless man's gaze at the blueprint of a mansion. Both may focus on the same image, but the vibration is worlds apart. Your work is to purge all heat from your desire, to make it so clean, so assured that it feels like a memory of something already possessed. Feel this state now. Recall your specific target. Feel its sensory reality. Now, instead of projecting it into a future you hope for, pull it into the present you inhabit. It is already here, in its completed form, in the causal realm. Your current moment is not a waiting room. It is the antechamber to a door that is already opening. The feeling is not, when will it come? But I perceive it approaching. There's a subtle, thrilling difference. One leans forward, straining. The other stands composed, head slightly tilted, listening for the footsteps of your own assumption walking toward you from the unseen. This anticipation becomes your new atmosphere. You move through your days wrapped in a gentle, unshakable certainty. You check your email, not with the pulse-quickening hope of, is this it? But with the mild curiosity of, I wonder which form the confirmation will take today. You answer the phone with the same tone you would use if the caller were already reporting a fait accompli. Your actions are not deadlines sprinted toward, they are rhythms conducted within a composition you have already written. The pressure evaporates, only flow remains. The world will test this. It will send delays, complications, seeming reversals. These are not denials, they are depth charges, testing the resilience of your ocean floor calm. The moment you feel the old hot anxiety begin to rise, the maybe I was wrong, that this is taking too long, recognize it as the final ghost of the old man. Do not fight it, greet it. And then, from your sovereign center, reinterpret the delay. Your inner speech becomes, the universe is gathering a more perfect component, or this recalibration ensures a more elegant entry. You transmute the frustration into further proof of the elaborate care being taken on your behalf. This is not naive optimism. It is the deliberate imposition of order upon the chaos of circumstance. In this state, your wealth begins to manifest not with a dramatic fanfare, but with a sense of inevitable recognition. A check arrives and you think, ah yes, this one. An opportunity appears and you feel not surprise but a nod of familiarity, as if greeting an expected guest. The event does not create your feeling of wealth, it echoes it. The anticipation was the feeling of the echo getting louder. Now it is here. This is how you collapse time. You are not waiting for time to pass so your desire can manifest. You are pulling the manifestation toward you by living in the emotional state of its fulfillment now. The calendar becomes irrelevant. Chronos, the quantitative time of clocks, is the realm of effects. Kairos, the qualitative right time, is the realm of cause. You live in Kairos. When you inhabit the feeling of the end completely, Chronos has no choice but to arrange itself to deliver the props and scenes to match your inner play. Practice anticipation without anxiety as a daily meditation. Sit. Feel the reality of your desire. Then feel the even deeper reality that it is done. Let the wave of relief, not excitement, but relief, wash over you. The chase is over. The deal is closed. The funds are transferred. Now, open your eyes and move through your day from that place of relief. How do you walk when the weight is off? How do you speak when the need is gone? That is your posture now. That is your voice. You are no longer a petitioner at the gates of fortune. You are the groundskeeper walking the serene paths of your estate, knowing the seasonal harvests will come because the soil is fertile and the sun is in your sky. You do not pace at the edge of the field, wringing your hands over the sprouts. You sit on the veranda, tasting the wine this year's grapes will produce. The harvest is inevitable. Your anticipation is the taste of the wine on your tongue today. Savor it. This is the sweetness of power, knowing the outcome so thoroughly that the waiting becomes the deepest, most peaceful form of possession. You have built a world within, a kingdom of specific targets, clarified instruments, and silent anticipation. Now we must audit the kingdom's ecology. For an assumption, no matter how powerful, cannot grow in a polluted inner environment. Your consciousness is not a single throne room, it is a complete, living ecosystem. Soils, climates, interdependent species of thought and feeling. The integrity of the internal ecosystem is the non-negotiable maintenance of this inner realm. A single, hidden stream of lack can poison the entire river of your wealth. Wealth is not an isolated thought. It is the dominant species in a psychological biome. It must be supported by a consistent climate, nutrient-rich mental soil, and symbiotic thought forms. You cannot assume massive capital in one mental compartment while in another. You nurture the acid soil of resentment over a past financial slight, or the parasitic vines of jealousy toward a rival's success, or the swampy lowlands of a victim narrative about the system. These are invasive species. They will strangle the root of your assumption. You must become a master ecologist of your own mind. This requires ruthless observation. Listen to the background chatter, the mental static that plays when you are idle. What is its content? Is it relitigating old losses? Is it rehearsing conversations where you were financially slighted? Is it a low-grade hum of comparison, measuring your assumed state against another's visible results? Each of these is a leak in your sovereignty. Each is a confession to the universe that you still believe in loss, in injustice, in scarcity. The universe, the perfect mirror, will oblige by reflecting back scenarios that justify these hidden beliefs. Feel the integrity of a unified ecosystem. It is a seamless hum. All thoughts, even those about challenges, are framed within the context of your power and resourcefulness. A problem is not a threat. It is a curious anomaly in your field, instantly met with the inner response, I have the capacity to resolve this. A rival's success is not a measure against you. It is a pleasing confirmation that the field you play in is fertile, and their success simply primes the market for your own, more potent entry. Past injustices are not scars. They are fossilized layers in the geology of your development, rendered inert and meaningless by the new climate you maintain. This integrity demands emotional honesty. You cannot affirm wealth while secretly savoring the bitter drama of your past struggles. That drama gives you a perverse sense of identity. You must willingly release the identity of the one who was wronged, who struggled, who came from nothing. That story is an anchor in the seabed of lack. Cut it. Your origin story is now I awaken to the source within. Any chapter before that is prehistory, irrelevant to the current reign. Your internal speech must now be sanitized of all poverty dialect. Not just the obvious, I can't afford it, but the subtler idioms. Money burns a hole in my pocket, easy come, easy go. The rich get richer, it's just money. These are not harmless phrases. They are carriers of assumption, viruses of lack. Replace them with the language of your ecosystem. Capital flows to my command and multiplies in my care. Wealth is stable energy that accretes around consciousness. My financial growth is natural, logical, and endless. Your relationships form a part of this ecosystem. You cannot maintain the state of a titan while spending your emotional capital consoling the perpetual victim or debating economics with the entrenched cynic. This is not about arrogance. It is about conservation. You would not allow someone to pour industrial waste into the stream that feeds your royal gardens. Do not allow toxic conversations to pollute the mental streams that feed your assumption. You protect your inner climate. This may mean graceful withdrawal, or the gentle, unshakable refusal to engage in the old, poverty-stricken dialogues. You do not argue, you embody, and let your silence be the only argument you offer. The integrity shows in your tolerances. What can you tolerate now? You can tolerate delays because you know the law is working. You cannot tolerate a single thought that posits yourself as separate from your source. You can tolerate market volatility because you are its master. You cannot tolerate a single internal narrative that gives authority to fear. Your boundaries become internal, fierce, and clear. This ecosystem, when pure, generates its own self-sustaining energy. A thought of wealth is not a lone seed you must desperately water. It is a native plant in a rainforest, supported by the humidity of your faith, pollinated by your imagination, and nourished by the rich decay of your discarded limiting beliefs. It grows because the entire system is engineered for its growth. Feel the wholeness now. Scan your inner lands. From the high, windswept peaks of your grandest visions, down through the fertile valleys of your daily assumptions, to the deep, unseen aquifers of your subconscious beliefs. Is the water clean? Is the air clear? Is the climate consistent? Any pocket of dissonance is a kingdom in rebellion. Bring the light of your awareness to it. Do not fight the rebel thought. Simply starve it of your attention and faith, and invest that attention and faith instead in the feeling of your unified, wealthy self. The rebel thought will wither, absorbed back into the fertile soil as harmless compost. Your internal ecosystem is the true seat of your power. The external world is its export, its finished product. You would not expect a factory spewing toxic smoke to produce pristine goods. Do not expect a mind harboring the toxins of lack, resentment, or comparison to produce the pristine experience of royal prosperity. Purify the source. Tend the inner ecology with the devoted care of a royal gardener. Then, and only then, will the fruits of your assumption grow plentiful, ripe, and unquestionably yours. The harvest is always a mirror of the soil. Tend the soil. The fruit has no choice. You have purified the ecosystem. You sit in silent anticipation. Now a final, unshakable knowing calcifies within you, a knowing not of hope, but of geological certainty. It is the understanding that your assumption is no longer a wish or a strategy, but an active, irrevocable force in the mechanics of reality. This is the inevitability of the outcome. The psychological shift from "it could happen" to "it has already happened" in the only dimension that matters, and the visible world is now catching up. This is the death of doubt, not by battle, but by obsolescence. Inevitability is not stubbornness. It is not the clenched jaw of someone insisting against evidence. It is the relaxed posture of someone viewing evidence as a temporary, localized phenomenon, while they themselves inhabit the broader truth. The dam does not hope to hold back the river. By its nature, it makes the lake behind it inevitable. Your assumption, held with purity and consistency, is that dam. It has already redirected the flow of possibility. The lake is already full in the unseen. The only thing pending is the sight of it from the valley below. Feel this inevitability. It is a solidification in your core. The questioning mind falls silent. The inner debates cease. There is no "what if it doesn't?" because that question belongs to a parallel universe you no longer occupy. Your inner monologue becomes a single, quiet statement of observation. It is unfolding. You watch the world with the detached fascination of an author watching his characters act out the final chapter he has already written. The ending is known. The suspense is not for you. This state transcends the need for signs. The beggar craves signs to fuel his dwindling hope. The king knows signs are for the spectators. You are the playwright. You see the signs not as clues, but as the first props being wheeled onto the stage by the stagehands of circumstance. A chance meeting, a sudden piece of information, an unexpected check. These are not surprises. They are confirmations. You greet them with a nod, not a gasp. Ah, you think, there is that piece, right on time. This inevitability reshapes your relationship with action. Action is not an attempt to make something happen. It is the natural, organic movement of the person for whom it has already happened. You are not building a business to become wealthy. You are running a business because you are wealthy, and this is one of the channels through which your wealth expresses itself. The pressure vanishes. Effort becomes alignment. You move not from need, but from the overflow of a completed fact. This is the source of the legendary, effortless success. It is not without work, but it is without the desperate friction of uncertainty. The world may still reflect the old story, old study. Inevitability means you understand the lag, and you no longer count it against your truth. You see the old numbers on the screen and you feel nothing. No chill of fear, no heat of impatience. They are simply outdated data, like last year's weather report. Your emotional composure is the proof that you are living from a different timeline, one where the outcome is already archived as fact. Your peace is the most powerful argument your being can make to the universe. It declares, louder than any shout, my reality is set. This is where you become a prophet in your own life, not predicting, but knowing. You speak of future events not as dreams, but as simple descriptions of the landscape ahead, as casually as you would describe the furniture in your own home. I'll be acquiring that building next quarter. The liquidity event will close in the fall. There is no I hope or I think. There's only I am. This speech, born of inevitability, is a creative act of immense power. It is you narrating the present tense reality of your kingdom into the ears of a world still dreaming the past. Practice this. When a doubt or an old scarcity thought attempts to whisper, meet it not with resistance, but with the silent, massive weight of your knowing. Do not argue. Simply feel the solidity of your assumption. The doubt is a mosquito buzzing against a stone monolith. It is irrelevant. Your certainty is not fragile confidence. It is the density of a planetary body. Things either orbit it or are drawn into its atmosphere and consumed. The inevitability of the outcome is the final surrender to the law. It is the end of the inner war. You are no longer assuming to get something. You have assumed, and in that assumption, you have become the person for whom the thing is a natural accessory. The outcome is now as inevitable as your own heartbeat because it is a function of the new life you are living. You are not waiting for the wealth. The wealth is waiting for the world to adjust to you. The check is already written. The universe is merely looking for the right mailbox. Your job is to be the unwavering, living, breathing address. Stand still, in your knowing. Let the delivery find you. It has no other choice. A subtle and profound evolution occurs in the very texture of your experience. Money, once a dense symbol of survival, of status, of elusive security, begins to change its state. It loses its psychological opacity. It becomes sheer, like glass. You no longer see the currency. You see the current of energy it represents. This is the transparency of the transaction. The final alchemy where financial exchange ceases to be commerce and becomes pure, conscious energy transfer. You are not spending money, you are directing force. The beggar sees a price tag and perceives a threat, a subtraction from a finite whole. The titan sees the same tag and perceives an agreement, a point of equilibrium in the flow of value. The number is irrelevant. It is the agreed-upon symbol for a specific quantum of creative life force. When you hand over cash, swipe a card, or authorize a wire, you are not losing anything. You are participating in a sacred reciprocity that affirms the infinite circulation of your source. The transaction becomes transparent. You look through the monetary symbol to the exchange of energy and intention beneath. Feel this transparency. The next time you make a purchase, do not feel it in your wallet. Feel it in your center. Feel the release of energy, not as a loss, but as a directed flow, like opening an irrigation channel in your vast estate to water a particular field. The object or service you receive is not the point. The point is the confirmation of flow. You are proving to yourself, through action, that you are a conduit for abundance, not a clogged reservoir. The ease with which you release funds becomes the measure of your trust in the flow. This reframes every financial interaction. Paying a bill is not a monthly hemorrhage. It is a rhythmic, harmonious clearing of energy, making space for new, greater inflows. You pay not with resentment, but with the silent statement, I honor this exchange, and I open the way for its multiplied return. Investing is not a gamble. It is the deliberate placement of your focused life force into a vehicle you expect to carry it forward and expand it. You are not betting on a stock. You are infusing a collective idea with the certainty of your assumption and drawing dividends of that same certainty materialized. The transparency reveals the true nature of debt. In the old world, debt was a chain. Through the transparent lens, a liability is seen as a structured, temporal distortion in your energy field, a future stream of your energy already committed. To resolve it is not to escape a prison, but to smooth a ripple, to bring a part of your future creative capacity back into your immediate, sovereign control. You settle it not with the sweat of a slave, but with the calm precision of a physicist correcting an equation. This clarity grants you a merciless discernment. You can see the energy behind the asking price. You can feel when a deal is nourishing or draining at the level of consciousness, long before the numbers are crunched. A transaction that promises monetary profit but requires you to compromise your internal ecosystem, to engage with fear, scarcity, or manipulation, will feel foul, like trying to breathe murky water. You will walk away, not because the profit isn't there, but because the energy is impoverished. Conversely, an exchange that feels clean, expansive, and aligned, even if the immediate financial yield is unclear, becomes irresistible. You are investing in the quality of your own consciousness. Your inner speech shifts accordingly. It is no longer, I can't afford that. It becomes, that does not command my energy at this time. Or, more powerfully, I direct my energy elsewhere, toward more resonant expressions. The focus is on your sovereignty over the flow, not on the limitation of the form. When you do choose to spend, the statement is, I joyfully allocate energy to this, knowing it amplifies my world. This transparency is the ultimate expression of financial power. You are no longer impressed by large numbers because you see them as simple quantities of a universal substance you command. You are no longer intimidated by complex deals because you see them as elegant or clumsy arrangements of this same substance. You negotiate not from a desire to win or get, but from a desire to establish an equilibrium that reflects true value and allows energy to circulate without friction. You become a master of the clean deal, where all parties feel the expansion, because you are transacting from a state of expansion that elevates the entire field. Practice this with every exchange, no matter how small. Buy a coffee. Feel the energy leave, not as coins, but as a token of appreciation for the service, instantly replaced from the infinite source within you. Pay your rent. Feel it as a graceful release, clearing space, physically and energetically, for your life to unfold. As you do, watch money disappear, not from your account, but as a solid concept in your mind. What remains is the thrilling, humming network of force and reciprocity. You are no longer a trader in a marketplace. You are a force of nature, intelligently directing the weathering and growth of your entire landscape. The transaction is clear. You see the energy. Now command it. Every kingdom has an origin story. A myth that justifies its borders, sanctifies its throne, and breathes fire into the hearts of its people. Up to now, your origin story has been a ledger of lack, a tale of humble beginnings, of struggle, of earning your way from nothing to something. This myth is a chain. It roots you in the soil of scarcity. To reign in perpetuity, you require a new myth. Not a fiction, but a profound psychological reframing of your past from the vantage point of your present throne. This is the mythology of the origin. You are not a self-made man, you are a self-discovered sovereign. The past is not fixed. It is a story you tell yourself, and every story is edited from the perspective of the present. You have been editing from the perspective of the struggler. Now you must re-edit from the perspective of the Titan. Every event, every setback, every no, every period of waiting is not evidence of a hard road to wealth. It is the necessary training, the forging of the very consciousness that could assume and hold such power. Your past did not lead you to wealth. It was wealth, in its potential, unformed state, preparing its own vessel. Feel the weight of your old story. Recall the hard lessons, the times of doing without, the grind. Feel the emotional texture of that narrative. It is gritty, tensile, a story of resistance overcome. Now, shatter that lens. See the same events through the new myth. That period of frugality was not poverty. It was the intense, focused conservation of your energy, teaching you the value of a single unit of force. That rejection was not a denial. It was the universe protecting you from a path too small, hurting you toward your true trajectory. That failure was not a defeat. It was a controlled demolition of a structure unfit to house your future empire. You are not an entrepreneur who beat the odds. You are a force of consciousness who, through a series of perfectly orchestrated events, including what you called failures, was shaped into the precise instrument capable of wielding the fortune you now command. The odds were never against you. They were the tools of your own workshop. The hustle was not a means to an end. It was the friction necessary to generate the psychic heat that forged your diamond core certainty. This revision is not denial. It is the highest form of truth. It is recognizing cause where you once saw only effect. You were not waiting for luck. You were building the magnetic field that would pull luck toward you in the form of inevitable synchronicity. Your entire life has been a coherent, intelligent unfolding toward this moment of assumption. There were no wrong turns. There were only calibrations. Your inner speech about your past must change utterly. Stop saying, "I came from nothing." Start declaring, "My origin is consciousness itself, which is everything, and my journey has been the gradual remembering of that fact." Stop saying, "I worked for every penny." Start knowing, "My work was the play of my consciousness learning to objectify itself in form." The people who doubted you were not adversaries. They were essential actors in the drama, playing the role of resistance to strengthen your assumptive muscles. The mentors who helped you were not saviors. They were mirrors, reflecting back to you the power you were beginning to own. This new mythology severs the last psychic tie to lack. It baptizes your entire history in the waters of abundance. You no longer have a rags to riches story. You have an awakening to your inherent royalty story. This is critical. The old story makes your wealth a fluke, a temporary victory that could be reversed. The new myth makes it your birthright, the inevitable expression of what you always were. One is a shaky scaffold built on old ground. The other is a bedrock. Write this myth, not on paper, but on the walls of your inner world. Walk through the gallery of your memories and relabel every painting. See the childhood want as the fertile void that sparked infinite desire. See the adolescent awkwardness as the shedding of ill-fitting, mundane identities. See every job, every project, every relationship as a specific tutorial in the curriculum of your sovereignty. The curriculum is now complete. You have graduated. The diploma is your unshakable assumption. From this point forward, you speak of your past only in terms of this new mythology. You do not share war stories from the trenches of lack. You share parables from the Academy of Power. This does not make you arrogant. It makes you coherent. You are aligning your entire being, past, present, and future, with the state of the king. A king's legitimacy comes from his lineage. Your lineage is no longer your family tree or your resume. Your lineage is the unwavering line of consciousness that has always, always pointed toward the throne you now occupy. The past is a story. You are the author. The old manuscript is ash. Write the epic. Inscribe it with the authority of hindsight that knows every storm was a guide, every desert a crucible, every shadow a contrast to make your own light undeniable. Your origin is not behind you. It is within you, eternal and overflowing. You began as source. You will end as source. The kingdom in between is simply the story you tell about the playing out of that glorious, inevitable truth. Tell the royal version. Your psyche and your world have no choice but to believe it. The landscape has shifted. The internal ecosystem is pure. The origin myth is recast. The transactions are transparent. You stand not at a pinnacle of achievement, but within a profound and startling solitude. This is not loneliness, the beggar's cry for external validation. This is the absolute, crystalline solitude of a law understood, a power fully internalized. It is the silence at the center of the vortex, where all creation spins from your stillness. This is the solitude of the summit. When your financial reality was a target, you had companions, doubt, hope, strategy, competition. When it became an assumption, you had disciplines, purification, anticipation, integrity. Now, as it solidifies into the very air you breathe, those companions and disciplines fall away. They were tools for the climb. The summit requires no tools. It requires only presence. The sound of your own consciousness, echoing in the vast space of your own creation, is the only sound there is. This solitude can be mistaken for isolation. The old world, the world of lack and transaction, continues its frantic dance in the valleys below. Its noises reach you as a distant murmur, a faint radio signal from a country you once inhabited but whose language you have now forgotten. You cannot go back and explain the view. To try is to speak of colors to the blind, of symphonies to the deaf. Your old friends in struggle will not understand your peace. They will wait for the crack in the facade, the sigh of stress, the complaint, the human signals they recognize. You have none to give. This unshareable calm is the first hallmark of the summit. Feel this solitude. It is not hollow. It is dense, potent, full. It is the solitude of a completed equation. There is nothing to add, no new technique to learn, no secret to uncover. The secret was you, and you have uncovered yourself. The feeling is one of immense, quiet relief, followed by a vast, open curiosity. I am here. The throne is mine. Now, what is this throne made of? What vistas does it truly command? The striving for wealth ends. The exploration of wealth's nature begins. In this space, your relationship to massive capital becomes contemplative. It is no longer a proof of your skill or a shield against fear. It is a phenomenon you are observing from within. You watch its flows and eddies in your life with the detached interest of a naturalist studying a fascinating species, a species you birthed. You make decisions not from need, but from a sense of aesthetic alignment or experimental curiosity. What would happen if I directed the flow this way? The risk is gone because the core supply, your consciousness, is immutable. You are playing with the manifestations. This solitude dissolves the last vestiges of comparison. There is no one to compare to. You have exited the race. The graphs and leaderboards of the world no longer track what you are. Your wealth is not a higher score on their board. It is a different game entirely, one you are playing by yourself, with rules you wrote. You hear of another's billion-dollar deal and you feel nothing, no jealousy, no inferiority, no competitive fire. You might feel a mild appreciation, as one artist might note another's technique, but it does not touch you. Your kingdom is self-referential, its metrics internal. The silence within becomes your primary dialogue. You consult not advisors, but your own vibrational certainty. A complex financial decision presents itself. In the past, you would have analyzed, projected, sought counsel. Now, you retreat into your solitude. You feel the options. One resonates with the quiet hum of your summit. The other creates a faint dissonance, a barely perceptible drop in temperature. You choose the resonance. The analysis later will justify it, but the choice was made in the solitude, where the law speaks in whispers of feeling, not shouts of logic. This is not omniscience, it is alignment. The solitude is the state of being perfectly aligned with your own assumption, and thus with the law that manifests it. In this alignment, you are guided, not by voices, but by magnetic pulls. Opportunities seem to find you. Dangers seem to dissolve before you reach them. It is not magic. It is you, operating from the causal plane, where effects are arranged before they are born into time. Do not fear this solitude. Do not mistake it for emptiness and rush to fill it with the old noise of striving. It is the fullest state you will ever know. It is the solitude of God before creation, brimming with all potential. From this solitude you will begin to create anew, not from lack, but from sheer, joyful creative impulse. Your wealth will stop being about your wealth and start being about the waveform your wealth creates in the world. But that is the next chapter. For now, stand in the silence. Breathe the thin, clean air of the summit. There is no one here to congratulate you, no audience to perform for. The validation is internal, total and complete. The solitude of the summit is your final initiation. It is the universe's way of asking, can you handle being the source? And in the silent, unshakable answer that echoes from your being, an answer that needs no words, you take your final seat. The journey from beggar to king is complete. What begins now is not a journey, but a reign. And a reign, by its very nature, is a solitary, glorious, and unassailable thing. Welcome to the summit. The view is not what you expected. It is what you are. A paradox blooms in the solitude. The summit, that peak of self-contained power, does not culminate in hoarding. It reveals a downward path, not a descent but an expansion. Having fully internalized the source of all things, you recognize a fundamental truth. To be a source is to give. Not from obligation, not from virtue, but from the overwhelming physics of your own nature. A full cup overflows. The sun does not debate generosity, it shines. This is the generosity of the source. It is not charity, it is the inevitable radiation of your state. In the old world, generosity was a transaction. You gave to get, to feel good, to look good, to balance some moral ledger. It was a movement from a sense of partial ownership. This is mine to give away, and often from a hidden sense of lack. I hope this comes back to me. From the summit, the concept of mine has dissolved into of me. Your wealth is not a possession, it is an emanation. To give, then, is not to lose a part of yourself, but to extend your boundary. It is a creative act, like a painter adding a stroke to the canvas of the world. Feel this new generosity. It is cool, clear, and utterly devoid of the sticky heat of sacrifice. When you tip the waiter with $100 bill for a coffee, you are not buying gratitude or earning karma. You are performing a ritual. You are declaring, through action, the flow through me is so immense. This is a negligible eddy. I demonstrate this truth to myself and to you. The recipient is not a beneficiary in your mind. They are a fellow participant in the drama of abundance, a convenient point through which you can express the nature of your source. The joy is not in their surprise, but in your own effortless expression of plenty. This reframes philanthropy entirely. It is not about giving back, a phrase that admits you took something that wasn't yours to begin with. It is about directing forward. Your wealth is a current. You now use it to sculpt the world closer to the image held in your own consciousness. You fund the research, the art, the venture not because it's needed, but because its existence pleases you, aligns with your inner vision of a more elegant, beautiful, or efficient world. You become a patron not of the arts, but of specific realities. Your giving is the most focused, potent form of assumption. You assume a world where this science thrives, this beauty exists, this problem is solved, and you pay for the shadow to catch up to your substance. Your inner speech shifts from "I should give" to "Where shall I direct the overflow?" The calculation vanishes. The feeling is one of navigation, of irrigation. You look at your liquid wealth and see it as water atop a high mountain. It will flow. Your only choice is to shape the channels. Do you carve a deep channel to a single transformative project? Do you create 1,000 rivulets to nourish a wide field? The decision is artistic, not moral. This generosity becomes the ultimate proof of your financial security. The beggar clutches. The king distributes. By freely directing large sums, you are not proving your wealth to others. You are proving your knowledge of its source to yourself. Each major outflow is an inner declaration. I am not this money. I am that which makes it appear. I can release this form and the substance will remanifest in another. It is a spiritual drill, reinforcing your connection to the infinite. Beware the counterfeit. Generosity from a sense of guilt or a hidden bargain with the universe. That is the old man wearing a new mask. True generosity from the source feels like breathing out, necessary, automatic, and requiring no thought of the next inhale, because you know it is already happening. You give because it is your nature to give, just as it is the vine's nature to bear fruit. The fruit is not the end of the vine, it is its expression. In this, you become invisible, not in person but in motive. The world will scramble to find your angle, your branding opportunity, your tax break. They will find nothing but the act itself. This will confuse them. It may even anger them. Their confusion is the sound of their own scarcity logic breaking against the fact of you. Your solitude deepens, even as your influence widens. You are not in the community of givers. You are the climate that makes giving possible. Practice this now, in scale with your current assumption. Give something, time, attention, money, but do it as a scientist conducting an experiment in cause and effect. Give with the absolute certainty that you are not depleting a resource, but activating a law. Observe not the recipient's reaction, but your own inner state. If there is a single filament of loss, you are not giving from the source, you are bargaining from the valley. Return to the solitude of the summit. Feel the endless well. Then, let the cup overflow. Not because the world is thirsty, but because the cup is full. The generosity of the source is the final, flawless evidence that you have assumed the throne. A king does not protect his treasure. He distributes his currency, knowing his mint is eternal, and his wealth is the thriving of the very kingdom he surveys.